It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You are live with Expresso as we delve into medical matters this morning. So yesterday, Sunday, the 13th of June, marked International Albinism Awareness Day, a vitally important day. Everyone has a name. Albinism is a rare condition with 1 in 4,000 babies being born with albinism, and many of our brothers and sisters with the condition are unfortunately still made to feel separated because of the color of their skin, and that's at the lighter end of the scale of the kind of treatment that is being dished out.
Yes, that's right. And Dr. Siamak Saleh, who's got quite the following on TikTok with nearly 1 million followers and over 4.8 million likes, joins us on the couch to educate us a bit about this condition. Doctor, it's so great to have you here.
Thank you for having me again.
I think from a medical perspective, we need to define albinism. I think just to get it out there.
Okay, so albinism is a genetic inherited condition. It is non-contagious and results in the body being unable to produce melanin, the pigment that gives you skin color, hair color. So generally, people with albinism are very pale.
Are there physical and health issues related to the condition? Is it simply just the pigmentation, or are there other kind of genetic traits as to the
So
condition?
people with albinism, generally, they have a normal lifespan, normal IQ. They are generally healthy people, except they almost always have problems with vision because melanin plays a role in the optic nerve development. So this can lead to people developing skin cancer easier. They need to visit ophthalmologists to either wear glasses, sort out their visions,
Okay. And you mentioned that this is genetic. How is the gene passed along?
Okay, so it's an autosomal recessive. Basically means you must be a carrier. So you're not necessarily showing symptoms, but if both parents are the carriers, then there is a 25% chance of passing it to offspring.
Is there a way to test that you're a carrier of the gene?
I was reading about it. It is difficult to test, but if you are pregnant, then there are ways to test. I mean, it's difficult to test beforehand, but once you're pregnant, it's possible.
I've got to ask on a personal note, because this is something that you jumped on and wanted to be a part of. Why is this such a vitally important issue for you?
So in this country, people with albinism face a lot of discrimination and stigma because of the misconception that are in this country, the witchcraft, that they believe people with albinism are like punishment from God. They are being attacked and killed, whether because they are bad luck or they use the body parts to get super powers. So I'm glad that's why I came here, to raise this awareness, especially that I'm on leave. I was like, I need to do this. I have to do this,
No, it's a vitally important conversation to have, even if it's just to break the stigma attached with a condition that is quite prevalent here in the country. We're going to continue and I want to find out exactly how prevalent it is here in South Africa and globally. We're going to continue the conversation with the good doctor in just a moment. We've got another segment coming. If you'd like to pose any comment or question, you are more than welcome to do that. You can let us know on our Expresso Morning Show Facebook page. How common is the condition here in South Africa?
So the condition in the world is around 1 to 20,000, but in South Africa, actually in Africa, is more common. I think some countries 1 in 1,000, but in South Africa, around 1 in 4,000 to 5,000.
What is there a reason for that? That it's so like in terms of statistically, like looking at overall globally, why Africa and particularly South Africa's statistics are so much different?
I actually haven't gone through this, but I think the stigma is more in Africa because of the difference between the skin colors from very pale to dark skin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it ramps up more. We're going to talk more about the psychological kind of attachment to the condition, what it means for the family as well that is going through this. We are commemorating World Albinism Day that was celebrated yesterday, and we're going to continue our discussion with the doctor. And if you'd like to weigh in, you're more than welcome. Let us know on our Expresso Morning Show Facebook page. If you've got any comments, maybe a real-time observation within your own life, we'd love to hear from you this morning. Let us know.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. This is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso on S3, and we are back to chat about our medical topic for today as we've been unpacking albinism with Dr. Siamak Saleh, who have been educating us about the condition. Now, we now head on over to our second half of the discussion, talking about the impact on the family, as this is a day that's observed annually on the 13th of June by the United Nations. So I'm loving what I'm learning so far, and yeah, let's get back into it.
Yeah, I think you've spoken about the extreme side of the discrimination within communities that's very prevalent within South Africa and Africa. But it's a very real transition that a family is going to have to go through, and we don't want to kind of fuel that fire in any way, but there's going to be a psychosocial impact on the family. So maybe we should start with that. What do you perceive that impact to be on a family?
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, the discrimination and stigma regarding people with albinism is very, very widespread and horrible in South Africa. So imagine from being bullied at school to growing up. So usually people with albinism tend to isolate and develop depression, anxiety. So there are support systems in this country. We have the Albinism Society of South Africa. Parents can get counseling. Regular doctor visit can help with the support also.
So it's also looking after your mental health from that perspective. So when a new mom gives birth and she finds out that her baby's got albinism, what kind of advice can we give moms like that to get the right support to, you know, see that this is her child?
Okay, so I think the most important one is to educate and raise awareness. Because of lots of the myths and misconceptions, they need to know that this is not a punishment from God, that the child will be growing healthy, normal lifespan. It's like having a condition that just gives you pale skin, which is true. So I think with the support from the medical side, regular doctor visits, just to make sure they're getting the appropriate care, it will help the family a lot.
Okay.
When we talk about the appropriate care, I think every new parent wants to ensure that they're doing the utmost for their child. What are the things that we need to look at? You mentioned eyesight, obviously being a major factor because of the lack of melanin. How do we, are there tests that need to be done at a regular basis? How do we scale that? Can you even know what is, you know, the degree of how eyesight's going to be affected?
Yeah. So as we're talking in the break, people with albinism are at very high risk of developing skin cancer. So if you have any skin lesion, skin tag, you need to see your doctor. That's why they say regular doctor visits are very important, especially in this country where people have poor access to resources. So it's very important to educate sunscreen, sunglasses, protective clothing from sun, long sleeves. So all these things are very important.
Really protect the skin. I have to say, I've been loving seeing how fashion stores and even magazine spreads have embraced their uniqueness, which for me is so beautiful. And I wanted to know from you, Doctor, do you have any final words that you would love to just leave our viewers with as we wrap up World Albinism Day that obviously took place yesterday?
I would like the viewers to educate themselves on this condition. The myths in this country is crazy, the things I was reading. So we need to support this society, we need to educate ourselves. Yeah, and hopefully we're gonna get over it.
Well, thank you for spreading that message in the way that you do. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for, I think, also being the kind of voice that you are within social media, because you are in yourself helping a lot of people understand things a lot more. You're breaking down a lot of those stigmas, and you're so relatable. It's so nice to be able to just
thank you.
sit and chat. It makes a big difference for us, especially when we're broaching subjects like this that should really no longer be taboo. And it's ridiculous that we still have the stigma attached, but it does really hit a serious level in South Africa. So we know that we need to change that perception, and this is probably a great way to start. So hopefully you've taken something on board this morning, Doc. Thank you so much. You've been great.
Thank you for having me.